Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to PayPal won't exist in 5 years. Here's why. I don't know why, but we're going to learn in this video, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you're going to enjoy, and if you want some more reactions to this channel, because I like this channel a lot. I've not watched him for a long time, but I do enjoy his channel a lot from what I've seen and what I've reacted to before. Let me know in the comments, and or if you've watched this video with me and then you want videos similar, suggest other channels that you think I'd enjoy. But yeah, let's jump into this. I'm someone who uses PayPal a lot, so maybe this will change my mind, because I've got a bit of money on there, and if it's going to go bankrupt or whatever, I don't want to risk losing it. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so it's probably is quite a bit more personal to me, you know. But we're going to jump into this reaction. Hopefully going to enjoy, and yeah, let's just jump into it.
PayPal is in seriously hot water. Last week, the founder of PayPal, Elon Musk, warned the world that the company's new policies, quote, go against everything that I believe in. So it's not surprising that in just the past year, PayPal stock prices have fallen by 2/3, and their reputation being irreversibly damaged. But PayPal wasn't always in shambles. Just a couple of years ago, and PayPal...
Wait, let me see that top one. Apparently PayPal is tired of losing customers, so they're now keeping them hostage, forcing you to call customer service instead of doing it online.
was in shambles. Just a couple of years ago, and PayPal was one of the most powerful companies in the world, with its original founding team spawning the richest 13 men in Silicon Valley. With all of these men leaving PayPal to create new companies like Tesla, LinkedIn, Yelp, and even YouTube. And PayPal was the creation of all of these top minds, becoming instrumental in creating the online landscape we know today. However, in just the last 2 years, this is a whole different story, with their stock price falling from over $290 a share to just $80. This is a...
Wait, that's fell nearly 4 times, which is interesting because it's obviously like an online thing. It's an online sort of banking thing. I don't know how to explain it, but with COVID and stuff, I would have thought a lot of people would turn to things like PayPal and stuff like that to receive payments, or like online businesses and stuff. So it's dropped by this much. That's pretty insane.
Drop of over 70%, which is why PayPal, a company that has continually grown, has now finally had to scale back their goals for the next few years, admitting that they're not going to reach their future targets. So what caused such a powerful company to come crashing down so quickly? And why has the public turned against PayPal? Well, to answer this, we need to understand what changed at PayPal. You see, one of the key reasons PayPal was originally so successful was due to the founders of PayPal, Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, and Luke Nosk. Known as Coinfinity in 1998, the company would go on to merge with Elon Musk's competitor company, X.com, where it was renamed as PayPal. All the people behind this new merged company were extremely ambitious men, many of whom would later become billionaires. With their collective ambition, intellect, and vision, they all saw immense potential for PayPal, and it was this vision for the company that would transform the world. Because before PayPal existed, there was no way of buying things online without physical checks and money orders. But PayPal solved this problem without inventing their own currency like their competitors. Instead, they worked through institutions that everyone already trusted: email, banks, and the US dollar. And it worked spectacularly well. As more and more people discovered PayPal, more and more money would flow through it. But it wasn't just the ambition that grew PayPal. Much of their success back then was built up from their reputation. Part of this was because of their customer service and their long-term thinking. This combining force to do the utmost for their customers in a long-term vision meant that PayPal would be one of the first companies in the world to use captchas to prevent online fraud. We're talking about 8 years before Google would even use them.
8 years before. Now this is everywhere. This is the stuff that gives me nightmares, man. You'll do it and then it doesn't. Oh, please click the 3 boxes that has a light bulb in. Well, I've clicked the boxes and it's not the light bulb, so please work. But the fact that they done it 8 years before Google is mental, and 21 years ago from now. That's nuts.
And it was these sorts of genius innovations that would keep PayPal's customers safe. But as the years went on and the founder's vision for the company faded, the upper management at PayPal became increasingly complacent, and big problems were bubbling up from the surface. However, meanwhile, things seemed great. The company was exploding in growth. Just 3 years after its founding, the company was handling around $3 billion in payments with around 189,000 transactions a day. And yet, even with these astounding figures, PayPal decided that they were going to take the company public. It might have seemed like an odd move at first, but you see PayPal had never actually been profitable, and they needed these venture capital investments to survive, because like all big tech companies, PayPal was trying to scale up as quickly as possible and become irreplaceable in the booming online market. And this is why the potential of PayPal was just so incredible, because they were perfectly positioned to have a monopoly on transactions over the entire internet. With just minuscule fees, they could make billions in profits. And this hope fueled massive investments. Within PayPal's first day on the stock exchange, they had already raised over $61 million. But this wasn't even the biggest vote of confidence PayPal would receive. Just a year later, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion in stock. And soon enough, PayPal became eBay's recommended transaction service, letting them tap into a mountain of guaranteed.
I mean, if you got eBay as like using you as one of the main payment methods, you are doing very well, because I can't even imagine how many people used eBay. But back in these days, eBay was the big thing. Like I always wondered why I can't use PayPal on Amazon. I guess it now makes sense because eBay and Amazon are like competitors, no? Okay then.
Business. Because back in the early 2000s, PayPal and eBay's growth were following the exact same trajectory. Both were revolutionary startups that were taking the world by storm, and together they would be unstoppable. PayPal would give eBay the perfect protection for their customers, all while revolutionizing online shopping for the masses. And in return, PayPal would expand its reputation, growing its user base by millions. And whilst this move would be incredibly important for PayPal's success, this would also be the first reason for PayPal's downfall. But the consequences of this would be slow to show. However, to anyone looking, it would have been clear from the start, because when eBay bought the company, nearly all the upper management jumped ship. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, pretty much all of the men who had founded PayPal and turned it into a billion-dollar company just vanished, showing that they just didn't have any interest in working under eBay. Instead, they would use the hundreds of millions generated from the sale to invest into other companies and ideas. And so when PayPal fell under the control of eBay, the company would radically change. But for now, this didn't matter. Under eBay, PayPal would steadily grow larger and larger. It was a slow pace of growth, but what it did give PayPal was an incredibly strong user base. eBay slowly spreaded PayPal across the world. When eBay grew, PayPal grew. And by the time 2010 rolled around, PayPal had 100 million users in 190 different markets using 25 separate currencies. But the ticking time bomb was about to explode. The growth was catching up to the company. And by early 2010, PayPal was getting too big. Not for themselves, of course, but for eBay. By the end of 2012, PayPal accounted for 40% of eBay's total revenue, processing of...
I mean, eBay is a huge company, right? But PayPal is like... I do sort of see PayPal now as like... Or I did, until maybe after this video, as like the... I probably would have seen it as a level playing field, maybe even bigger. Again, maybe not, because eBay is huge, but it's one of those companies that I sort of see as big, but it's not as big as it was. PayPal, I just thought was the way, so which is why I'm so surprised by seeing this video, because I don't really know. I've never seen the bad side of PayPal. I've never looked into it, but he said it's from here where it starts going downhill, or like the sign starts showing from where it went wrong. I don't know what to expect.
Over $145 billion in transactions. So in 2014, the inevitable happened and eBay split from PayPal, becoming its own independent company. But when it became independent, PayPal would suddenly have a lot more problems to deal with. And it was these exact problems that would be instrumental in PayPal's imminent collapse. The first of these problems was security. PayPal had been dealing with fraud problems on its platform for years. Now, as we mentioned before, PayPal was inventing a lot of great protection methods for their customers. But one thing PayPal couldn't deal with was the rise in cybercrime. In fact, very early on, they were losing millions of dollars a year to small attacks, leading them to invest heavily in security measures. But over the years, some of these measures haven't been enough and have actually introduced new weaknesses. In 2014, for example, researchers found that PayPal's two-factor authentication system had been easily exploitable since it was introduced 6 years earlier. It all revolved around PayPal's mobile app. When someone with two-factor authentication logged on, the app would believe they were properly logged on for a moment before demanding the second level of security. But if you put the phone in airplane mode during this period, then turned it off again a second later, it would completely fool the system into thinking that you had logged on. And this bug was around for years, without anyone at PayPal catching on, and the researchers who discovered it were easily able to write a script that replicated it, making the process that much easier to exploit. This security problem was a warning to PayPal that they couldn't take security too lightly, but of course they didn't listen, and this had an awful effect on the reputation of security and convenience that PayPal had been built on. Every security breach and weaknesses that were found detracted from its reputation, and this wasn't the only thing slowly eating away at PayPal.
The thing is, when you're like an online banking service, you are like prone to get all types of things to happen to you, because that's where a load of money's at for people. And hackers that can do this stuff, they're gonna do everything they can to take it. But the fact they didn't do anything about these things, and like the airplane mode glitch, for example, was there for years without them doing anything, is insane to me.
On top of the security risks were the awful customer reviews they were getting, as their focus on prioritizing the users began to dwindle once they monopolized the industry. And by 2016, PayPal was among the worst rated companies in the world. It had a 1-star rating on Consumer Affairs, with articles calling it, quote, the most reviled online company in the country. Not only were PayPal having problems with security, they were also failing with their customer service in a huge way. Reviews at the time showed that the company was notorious for siding with scammers and holding on to people's money. There were just thousands of stories of PayPal.
Really? I thought there was, when it came to like buying clothes, for example, if you paid with PayPal, there was more safety on your side, on the buyer's side. Because my girlfriend sells clothes, and like obviously that involves online stuff, and a lot of it would be involving PayPal and whatever. I always thought they would, but I always, yeah, they side with the seller, or they, I don't know, there's refund methods, but obviously I don't know the ins and outs of it. If that's the case, then wow, siding with the scammers is pretty brutal.
Ignoring or even protecting scammers on its platform. Now, it's understandable for a company to have some negative reviews, if they're outweighed by positive ones, but when nearly 95% of your reviews give the lowest rating, you know something's wrong. Both of these.
But at the same time, I feel like the people who are rating are the people who are angry. Because you're not, even if you like, PayPal's not one of those things you're going to be like, oh, this app's sick. Because it's not that insane. It's a useful app if you use it and you buy stuff online. But it's not like something that will blow your mind. Whereas if something goes wrong and you get scammed, then you're going to leave a bad review. I think, and this is sort of one of those situations where it's hard to really judge, because most people who will review it aren't going to be people who are enjoying the app. But at the same time, it's just PayPal. You're not going to be, I mean, I've never rated it because I just don't care. It's just one of those things that's just sort of there for me. But if something went wrong with it, then I'm going to leave a review, you know. And it's going to be a bad review because I want my money. So I can definitely see why it's like this. But damn, I mean, it's still crazily lopsided. 87% 1-starring it. Jeez.
These problems were a growing issue, and PayPal's growth would stagnate for years even after the eBay deal. From mid-2015 to mid-2017, PayPal's stock sat at pretty much the same value, with only slight rises
There's a big
and
jump
dips.
soon.
But starting from around mid-2017 until around 2020, PayPal looked like they were going to get their second wind, with their stock doubling in value during the latter half of the year, rising from $40 to roughly $75 a share. And the next years were even better, with PayPal reaching $110 a share by 2020. So what explains this random sudden growth? Well, similar to its growth as a startup, PayPal looked like it had a lot of potential. But this time, PayPal wasn't just a high potential startup, the potential was in how strong their monopoly was. You see, 2017 saw massive growth for PayPal, as they secured access to over 100 million new customers in China. And on top of this regional expansion were the acquisitions that PayPal made. They bought companies like TIO Networks and iZettle, both competitors that offered the same service that PayPal did. And because of this, everyone thought they were looking at the next big tech monopoly, a company that was set to rival the likes of Google, Amazon, and Meta. And to achieve this, PayPal did spread itself thin, just like the early days, looking to access every bit of the market that they could. And again, like the early days, this paid dividends, especially when the pandemic came around the corner, as much of the world was forced inside, where online business and e-commerce flourished, which obviously—
But that's what I'm thinking, like, it would have boomed, and it did boom in the 2020s, like late 19s, to 2019, 2020 sort of area, or time, whatever I'm trying to say, year, that's the word. It would have boomed. So then how come it's now fell off again? I keep asking these questions as if I'm not going to find out. I'm going to find them out. But before I do, I've been thinking about this question for the whole video. I've never used it before, but Cash App, is it similar to PayPal? I don't actually know. I always see people leaving like, oh, send me money through Cash App and stuff. I want to see Cash App, what's it? Value, I guess, to see how much it's worth. How much is Cash App worth? So it's 12.3 billion in 2021. And what about, is PayPal similar? I don't actually know. I've never looked at Cash App or anything, but PayPal. God damn, I can't type. Flipping hell. It's not really as easy to see. Revenue 25 billion USD. Is that just in 1 year? I guess it must be, because Cash App can't be higher. It's big though. It's not like that much smaller. I didn't realize how big Cash App really is. But damn. the more you know. But I don't know how similar it actually is. It talks about Bitcoin, and I don't know if that really shows how close it is to PayPal or not,
It
really.
meant that a lot more people were using PayPal, and so inevitably their stock prices and revenue soared. In the first months of the pandemic, PayPal's revenue jumped up by 22% and over 20 million new users joined the platform. And across the duration of the pandemic, PayPal will continue to grow more and more. In just a year and a half, their stock rose to a massive $300 a share. PayPal was unstoppable. But the final flaw in PayPal's business model was going to bring down the whole house of cards.
The editing is so sick,
But
man.
before we continue, I want to tell you about today's
Getting his money. Let's go, man. You love to see it. I'm going to skip it, but he's getting his money, and that makes me happy. All right.
PayPal started to make some very controversial political decisions, and this would become the
Oh,
second
God.
reason for
How
PayPal's
did
downfall.
politics get involved in a company falling off? Why would a company get involved in any politics? Just make your money. You're doing well. What have you got to do to like? It's going well for you. What? You're money hungry anyway. Why do you want to get involved in things that aren't even connected to you?
Instead of focusing on customer service, they were now focusing on virtue signaling. As we all know, the service PayPal provides is purely financial, either moving money from one account to another or offering loans. But at some point, PayPal started to believe that it had the authority to push its worldview onto its customers. This began with PayPal banning some controversial figures off its platform. Niche political groups would often find their funds frozen, and in 2018, PayPal would very infamously ban someone for their political views. The man known for
How do you ban someone from using your? Surely it doesn't affect you, no matter who it is. What?
the gay frogs. Now, ostensibly, it seemed like they were just
What?
joining in with all the other big tech platforms.
To be fair, he got a big ass what is it? Lawsuit going, isn't like 1 billion, bro. Alex Jones, I think you might be done for. I'm not
But when you
gonna
really
lie.
think about it, PayPal banning
That's
people for
PayPal banning him is the least of his
their
worries.
political views is far more sinister than any other big tech censorship, because we're talking about people's hard-earned money here. And over the following years, PayPal would take this to a whole new level, and this is when PayPal's public reputation would hit an all-time low. It all started in 2021, when they publicly announced that they were joining forces with the ADL, otherwise known as the Anti-Defamation League, supposedly under the guise of protecting marginalized communities. They stated that they would work with the ADL to cut the revenue funds of, quote, extremist and hate groups. But really this meant that PayPal would freeze the funds of anyone who the ADL told them to. And if we really consider the recent history of ADL, this could mean almost anyone. I mean, we're talking about an organization that went after PewDiePie of all people, going so far as to commend Disney when they
no.
dropped him from their brand in 2017.
Oh shit, not this stuff all over again. Oh mate, so this company's one of those sensitive ass things. I mean, I can't lie, there's certain situations where you can definitely see why they would do it, but if you know the whole situation with this, oh mate, it was a mess.
And in 2020, an open letter was signed by a coalition of even progressive organizations calling for a boycott on the ADL. This is how extreme left the ADL truly is. And they clearly don't have a clean record on morality, but PayPal is entrusting them with the company's future decisions and who they stop money going to. Yes, a multi-billion big tech platform is siding with the extreme left, and this problem would have disastrous consequences. And we'll get onto the consequences of this very shortly, but it's also important to note that at the exact same time, PayPal's business model was beginning to fall apart. You see, with their incredible growth during the pandemic, it seemed like their monopoly plans were working, but instead of properly managing their growth, PayPal spread themselves way too thin, and today they are losing massive amounts of growth compensating for it. And that's why during the time that PayPal was partnering with the ADL, PayPal's monopoly plans were falling apart. By around the end of 2021, PayPal's revenue would begin to be cut by half, and with this came many more burgeoning alternatives. And while still, Google, Amazon, and Apple have all released some versions of PayPal services, whether it be Apple Pay, Google Pay, or any of the other miscellaneous.
I use Apple Pay a lot. I've never actually bought stuff in real life with PayPal. Is that even a thing? Is it like PayPal cards, like cards with PayPal that you can just go to the shops and use? I just literally use it online to transfer money and stuff. Apple Pay is what I use, I'm not gonna lie.
of services. And it's by using things like Apple Pay that these big companies have integrated their own payment transaction methods into the greater span of their company. And that's why Apple and Google make it a lot easier to use their services than PayPal on their smartphones. And for many years, PayPal was the only payment transaction method that these big companies relied on. But now it's becoming clear that PayPal is quickly losing their monopoly, and they really don't offer much else to the market. In fact, now it seems like PayPal is negatively affecting the market, and instead of being user-orientated, PayPal is now making their services less and less desirable for their users. Most notably, the old issue of security has cropped up once again. You see, in 2021, PayPal was so desperate to sustain their growth that they turned to a strategy that they'd never used before: sign-up incentives. Beginning in late 2021, PayPal offered a free $10 to anyone who made a new account. With the proper measures taken against bot accounts, this could have been a great move. And at first, it did seem like it was. PayPal suddenly had an influx of millions of new accounts. But a few months later, PayPal made a shocking discovery. Over 4.5 million of the new accounts were fraudulent. Hackers around the world had found ways to bypass PayPal's new user checks.
Oh, mate, people are making so much from this, I guarantee.
And used botnets to make thousands of fake accounts. And all of these accounts were given the sign-up incentive, amounting to tens of millions in losses for PayPal. But it was possibly the damage to their reputation that stung the most. So much so that PayPal had to scale back their new user goals, abandoning a pledge to get 750 million active users by 2025. The breach meant that what they thought were 4.4 million new users were actually just a leech on them instead. And coupled with the generally lackluster growth and ambition, and PayPal is left lacking. And it's problems like these that have plagued PayPal. They used to be famed for their customer service. But all these controversies in just the last 2 years have really put into question, does PayPal actually care about its customers? And trust me when I say it only gets worse from here. In September of 2022, PayPal would begin banning accounts of the Free Speech Union, an organization that simply supports academics that have been silenced for their opinions, and promote general free speech in society. And so with PayPal's far left views, they would ban this organization, which really didn't seem very business savvy and more politically motivated. Now, of course, this...
You're just a banking company. You can literally have whoever you want and no one's going to care. You're a banking company. Oh my days, man. No wonder why they're struggling. They want more users, but they're banning so many people.
The move was met with criticism from all sides of the political spectrum, and so they eventually reinstated the accounts. But you'd think they'd learn from this, but clearly they didn't. Just a month later in early October, PayPal released a new acceptable use policy, which was pretty much a document detailing what people can and can't do on its platform. Most of it seemed like the usual legal stuff, but among the new additions was a pledge to fine users $2,500 if they spread, quote, misinformation.
Okay, I'm not going to talk any more smack, and I'm going to get my money out of PayPal right now. Flipping hell. It's looking a bit ropey, I'm not going to lie. If you've got a bit of money like stored in your PayPal, you might have to move it somewhere else. Like, that's something for sure, man.
And needless to say, the backlash was incredible. David Marcus, a former president of PayPal, tweeted this: "PayPal's new AUP goes against everything I believe in. A private company now gets to decide to take your money if you say something they disagree with. Insanity."
Brutal.
And Elon Musk was quick to agree, also deriding the company for its massive blunder. And rightly so. It's ridiculous that PayPal believes that they can take people's money for the wrong opinions. And anyway, who decided what is and what isn't misinformation anyway? Since when did they get the moral political authority over their users? It wasn't just woke nonsense. This was a direct middle finger to their customers, and people across the world agreed. After PayPal threatened to take people's money, the world reacted. The amount of Google searches for, quote, delete PayPal rose nearly 1,400% in the day after the announcement, and their stock crashed a further 6% as a result of the announcement. Of course, once realizing what a total disaster this was, PayPal would make a quick U-turn on their announcement. But you see, the thing is, they only did this once they saw the damage this was doing to their bottom line. If it wasn't for the backlash, PayPal would have happily continued with this. It seemed like this was a desperate attempt to fit into the woke narrative. Either that, or PayPal was just trying to increase their control over their users, whilst virtue signaling to increase their ESG score and look good to the public. But instead, this turned out to be just another huge mistake in a long line of massive mistakes in just the last 2 years. And this one seemed to be the final straw. Judging by the scathing comments from former founders and executives of PayPal, the company has quite clearly lost its way. With PayPal's lack of security, failed business plan, and now their threats to steal people's money and their desecration of free speech has left the company's reputation in tatters, and only time will tell how long they have left.
PayPal. What have you done? I'm gonna have to get myself sorted. Honestly, this downfall is completely deserved and it's hilarious. I didn't even know about it until now. not heard about any of these things. Them trying to take £2,500 or dollars from people. They say something they don't agree with. Like, what? It's crazy how all these companies end up losing money while chasing money every time. PayPal has extortionate fees, no customer support, and wants to control free speech. See, I've never got fees from PayPal. I don't get it. My girlfriend, if she sends me money on PayPal, she gets a fee, right? That's like a fee. But I've never, unless I have, and I just don't know. Maybe I have, and I just don't clock it. Actually, a thing about it, maybe I do. Internet banking might be where it's at. PayPal, it's been fun while it's lasted. You've helped me through the tough times, but it's time to go. Nah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. It was a bit different, but I do enjoy this channel. And again, like I said at the start, if you want more of these types of videos, let me know in the comments and I'll try and do them. I mean, what are his most recent videos? It's these kinds of topics, but Hawaii, which, yeah, this company's got some wild background. I've not seen this video. The Joker tried to warn you. The UK's in the mud. How Apple just changed the entire world. All this kind of stuff. Yeah, if you want these types of reactions, let me know in the comments and I'll be 100% down to do them. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.